Well, since we're talking about the Creighton women, let's talk about the Creighton men.
Yeah.
They took on St. Thomas of Minnesota, and they beat them by 12. But like you were talking about, Christian, in the South Dakota State Creighton women's game, this game was not an indication of the score. People forget St. Thomas, half the players on their roster were recruited to this St. Paul school when they were still a Division III school. Now they're up into Division I. They're going to make some nights very sleepless for a lot of coaches that have them next up on the schedule. I thought that they played really, really well. Arthur Kaluma, though, really led the way for Creighton. He had 17 points, and he just seemed to be in on everything, not necessarily having the ball in his hands. He just seemed to be either having defensive, players move over to focus on him to give open shots to somebody else. He was a real key here for Creighton. I think it was a humbling opening game for Creighton because certainly I know I have, and so have you, been raving, and a lot of analysts have been talking up Creighton all preseason, all here through the early exhibition games, and now into the first game. I think it's saying, okay, we're good, but the St. Thomas Tommies came in here and almost upset us opening night. Okay, yeah, we won by double digits. That wasn't indicative of how the game was going whatsoever. A couple of turnovers, a couple of questionable calls that went in favor of Creighton. If that hadn't happened, St. Thomas just may have pulled off the opening night upset. But I don't feel nervous about Creighton. I think that they are going to be okay. I think they're going to be the class of the Big East. The only warning sign, and it's a really dim yellow, slowly flashing warning sign, is the St. Thomas backcourt outplayed Creighton's backcourt. Flat out outplayed them at everything. Distributing the ball, defense, shooting, they outplayed Creighton. And as we know, the first commandment, guard play, guard play, guard play. You don't want to have your guards and your backcourt outplayed by the opponents if you're hoping to win a lot of games. So let's see what happens for Creighton going forward. And I'm going to keep an eye on St. Thomas now. They had a pretty decent year last year, but I wouldn't say that was anything that was jumping and making headlines. But now I'm like, I think I'm going to be watching a couple of their games leading into conference play, just to kind of see what they're all about. And if I like what I see, the must-watch lists that we're having to buy more and more notebooks for because it's just expanding by the night. I think St. Thomas is going to have to get a page of their own in my book as a team that you want to watch and you want to follow. At least if you can't get the whole game, at least get the condensed game in somehow.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't seen this game yet. I do plan on watching the replay though. But initially, just looking off the stats, I see that Baylor Shireman led the team in minutes, but only had 11 points on 10 rebounds. Great on the rebound side, but was 4 from 9 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3-point line. What was missing in his game?
He just didn't seem comfortable. He just never seemed comfortable when he had the ball and he had an open shot. Sometimes he passed it off. He didn't want to take it. And it wasn't, I don't think he was afraid to take it. I just don't think he felt, sometimes in shoot arounds, and you don't really see that on TV. A player knows, look, I just don't have my stroke tonight. So he seemed to not want to be part of the scoring attack and just do what he usually, like you said, he had 10 rebounds. He really out-muscled some bigger players to get several of those rebounds. Again, I think it was just an off night, for the Creighton backcourt and for Creighton in general. Plenty of season left. But again, slowly flashing yellow lights. Don't let your backcourt get outplayed.
They had the Thursday take on North Dakota, and then Monday they go to Holy Cross. So a Summit League matchup, and then heading over to the Patriot. some matchups that, if we just saw what we saw against St. Thomas, shouldn't be ones that we should just continue to just slide aside. Creighton has to find some adjustments, but I'm sure they'll figure it out in the next couple games.